Hey everybody, I'm José James here at Newport Jazz, and I'm a vocalist coming from jazz, R&B, and also a songwriter, a producer, and a record label owner of Rainbow Blonde Records. Obviously we miss shows, but we miss you more, and we're very happy to share some of our knowledge of music and performance with you today, so I hope it helps. Something I'd really like to talk about today is band leading. It's a topic that's very important, and some of the subtle points don't really get talked about sometimes at school. So I'm gonna give you my secrets today. This also applies for the studio. If you're going in to cut your first album, or if you're a producer working with singers or musicians, you should take notes as well. So I break it down into 3 easy to remember points. First, you dream it, then you feel it, then you tell it. Now, what does that mean? In the dream it stage, you should just throw paint against the wall, come up with any idea, no matter how fanciful or extreme it may sound, because some of these things will be very valuable later on when you want to go to the next stage. Once you have a good idea of what your album is going to be, or your song, or your set, now's the time to share that information and to feel it with your musicians, or with your engineers, or whoever you're working with. Again, this can also be for the studio. I've found in my decade plus of recording and touring artists, the more information that you can share about your vision with your collaborators, the better. For example, your set director, your lighting director, your engineer, whether it's live or in the studio, they all want to know what your vision is, what you're thinking about. So don't feel shy to share that vision. And of course, as a band leader, you're sharing with your musicians. What is your vision? What are you trying to express? And finally, you want to tell it. Once you've set the parameters of your sound world, as I call it, you're sort of safe to tell your story. And that's when the finer points of band leading can come across. Part of it is similar to acting. You know, you have your own story, you have your own thoughts and feelings that you've already done in your dreaming phase that you're bringing. Not everybody necessarily has to know what that means, but they can feel it. The audience can feel it, the band can feel it, because it's coming from you, it's coming from a true place. Here's an example of that. Bill Withers wrote a song called Grandma's Hands, which he wrote about his own grandmother. And now, of course, I never met her, even though I did get to hear stories about her from Bill Withers. But when I went to sing that song, I wanted to do it from my own personal, emotional perspective. So I thought about my grandmother. Now, when people here at Newport, when I performed that, when they felt that, they came up to me after the show and said, "Man, when you sang about your grandma, it made me think about my grandma." So these are the kind of things that I didn't hear about when I first started my career, because all I wanted to do was look cool and be on stage with a cool band and do my thing. But now that I've performed for a while, I realize those things are what make a performance truly special and can uplift a performance from good to amazing. When you dream it, as a band leader, you're coming up with the concept of what the music is, what's the story, how many songs, what's the story of your set, what's the story of your album, what's the message that you want to convey as an artist. And this is the same if you're doing standards or if you're writing original songs. Even if you're covering other people, for example, I did a tribute to the late, great Bill Withers. I still had to get inside his concept, get inside his music, and tell my own story within it. So I spent a lot of time, for example, listening to his music, watching his videos on YouTube, seeing how he felt with his band and how his audience may have experienced his music. All that's good information, so I can take it in within myself and do something new with it. Something that I like to do is write all my ideas in either a journal or a voice note, just to keep track of the little things that come up when you're just by yourself, being as creative as possible. So I was actually talking to Robert Glasper about this, and we were joking that if we ever lost our phones, our careers would be over because we save everything on voice notes. It's really important to just get all the little ideas down, and you'll be surprised when you listen back to them how important that information is. I want to play you guys something that I recorded on tour at the hotel room after a gig, which became a song that I wrote with a bunch of amazing artists, and Ledisi, Christian Scott, on my last album, No Beginning, No End 2. This was the track, I Need Your Love. So this was the original voice note, how it started to come together. I need your loving, baby, baby, lately, I'm crazy thinking of you. And I need your love so found it, found it, found it, found it, thinking of you. Ooh, da, da, da. Sometimes and now the girl. So you can hear in that voice demo, there's a lot of information there. The tempo's there, the melody's there. You can't really hear the words, and I'll play you another one that gives you a kind of a better sense of the feel. This one went in as I Need Your Love, Moog line. So you can hear I was just walking down the street, probably in New York, and just had that idea. I pull out my phone. I have found it's more effective for me to play this to my drummer than to try to sketch out a whole chart with like dotted eighth notes and stuff. It's easier just to go up to Nate Smith or Justin Brown or Jamar Williams, and they say, how do you want it? And you say, and if you can't beatbox, you can clap, you can do a beat on the table, or pull up a song that's a reference track as well. Whatever inspires you, you should communicate with the people you're collaborating with. The more information they have, the more information they know, the easier it is for them to get inside your vision. You're the director as the band leader. They're all coming to support your vision. So as much that you can share with them, it's going to really explode your vision with this collaboration to places that you can only dream about. It's really important that you study the material thoroughly beforehand. Now, what does that mean? It means know your own music. I can't tell you how many times I have seen young artists perform, vocalists or instrumentalists, who don't really know their own song or don't really know what they're covering. Now, we all have off nights. You know, I've forgotten many lyrics, even my own lyrics, but you should really feel the essence of the song. You should really know it. And I'll give you a great example of how this helped me when I was a student at New School for Jazz and Contemporary Music. It was my first year there, and one of the co-founders, Chico Hamilton, the legendary drummer and band leader and composer, asked me to sing on his album, which was a huge honor. I'd never worked with him before, and I didn't know what to expect. He just told me the song he wanted me to sing. He didn't tell me the key, he didn't tell me the tempo, he just said, sing this song. And I knew better than to ask Chico Hamilton what key I should sing it in. So I had a month to prepare, and I sang the song in every single key. Obviously, I knew there would only be one key, but I wanted to be comfortable when I went in, so I would have all the information ready for him. And sure enough, he just started playing, and we just went into the song, and I was ready. you know, and I think that's the sort of level, especially if you're coming from jazz, that you have to be prepared for. When you're working with really talented musicians, the higher you go, the less talking there has been in my experience about the actual music. You just sort of start playing and everybody's expected to know the song. Another example is when I cut a tribute to Billie Holiday for Blue Note Records with John Patitucci, Jason Moran, and Eric Harland. Amazing trio. It was the first time they had ever performed together. And we didn't have any rehearsal. It was all standards that Billie Holiday sang. And they said, hey man, what do you want to do? And I said, there was a club called Bradley's in New York City in the 80s that I only heard stories about. And the story, the legend of Bradley's was that at 1 o'clock when the club closed, they would close the gate and make it a musicians only hang from 1 till about 8 or 9 in the morning. And apparently that's when it really was great. So I said, hey, look, I know I wasn't in New York for Bradley's, but I want to capture that feeling. I want us all to feel like we're at Bradley's, it's 3 in the morning, and we're just playing songs. And that's what we did. And we just started playing. And when you have a band like that, you better know your songs. So I'm telling you guys, put in the work beforehand. Your band, your musicians, your collaborators will really appreciate it if you know your songs. So it's really important to feel your music. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean literally feel it in your body. You are using your body to perform, to play, to sing. It's a physical aspect, right? So if you can internalize the feeling of the song, this is emotionally, musically, and especially rhythmically, that's going to be really important because again, as a band leader, it's all coming from you. Everyone is looking to you. The sound engineers, the lighting engineers, your band, the audience, everybody is looking at you for what's the story? What's the feeling? What is the thing that you are trying to emote and share? And I've seen a lot of young artists struggle with tempo, counting in a song, where to put that feeling. I've seen a lot of reliance on, and I've done it myself, relying on the band to count it in. And sometimes the band is going to count it in a place where you don't feel it. So don't be afraid to sort of take a moment and really get comfortable with the tempo because you are the one delivering the words or the solo or the melody on top of the band. Something that I do is sort of look at the whole song and find a place where the rhythm has to be right. Now, I'll give you an example. There's a song called Use Me by Bill Withers. And there's a vocal break where he says, I said I'm gonna spread the news that if it feels this good getting used, well, you just keep on using me until you use me up. Right? That felt very comfortable, conversational, and I'll show you. You take a second and you think about that part, for example. I said it, I'm gonna spread the news, right? So it's already in my body, I'm already feeling good with it. So I could go to the drummer and say, or just saying, I said it, I'm gonna, right? In this case, what I did live was started on the acoustic guitar. So I wanna let everybody know exactly where it is, where I'm feeling it. And so I'd say, right? It's right there. So it's unmistakable where the feel is. You don't have to pull out a chart and count off anything. You just let everybody know. And when I performed it here at Newport, you could see the band getting into it. You could see the band when I'm playing that rhythm, everybody's getting ready. And Nate Smith is playing the ghost notes on the drums to come in because I've already said it there. So really important to embody the song thoroughly to communicate that to your band and your audience. All right, so you've spent time working on your song, you've internalized it, you've figured out your key, you've figured out your tempo, you've communicated that to your band, and you've picked some fantastic band members, right, who are going to support your vision. Now's the time for your performance, whether in the studio or live. Now it's time to tell your story. So this is a beautiful moment to put everything aside. All the work you've done, it's all behind you now, and you live in the moment. You're feeling whatever emotions or thoughts may be coming up for you and expressing them. And the fascinating thing, and I've learned about this, especially doing a song night after night, a song like Ain't No Sunshine or Come to My Door or a song like Trouble that I wrote, different things happen. With different lineups and different bands, different interactions, different audiences. So you have to sort of like be open to new opportunities and unexpected things. Sometimes the band may count it in too fast or get excited because, you know, somebody played a solo that was really fast and fun, and now, you know, they're going in double time. And I always just let the band do their thing, because now it's time to let go and experience what happens and be a member of the music, literally, be a part of it. When you're working with creative musicians in particular, it's incredible what they will do with your music and your songs. All you have to do is sort of direct them. So if somebody's having a really good day, sometimes you can always tell when people wake up on tour, oh, the piano player, he's feeling himself today, right? Or the bass player, she's in a vibe today, right? You kind of know that, and you might want to give them a point where if you're feeling it, they're feeling it, it's time for them to take a solo, to take the song somewhere else. So you're embodying the feeling, and you're also aware of the interaction of the band or of the production. You're sending the energy where you want it to go. This is really, really important in jazz, because it is about this give and take. And it is about being humble enough as a band leader to step aside in the way that people like Miles Davis were able to, and let someone else lead the band. Let someone else take their voice and take the song where it wants to go. So I encourage you guys to be open to that moment and see where it leads you, because you might find some unexpected and magical things happen.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
So let's take a look at how I was able to put some of these ideas into real life practice. I have a performance here that I did here at Newport in 2018 with my tribute to Bill Withers on a song called Grandma's Hands. So let's take a listen together. So I can see I'm starting Grandma's Hands on acoustic guitar. And I started a little bit fast, and I'm looking at Ben. I can see him patting his foot, and we're finding the groove. Grandma's Hands, the original Bill Withers one, was sampled, by Blackstreet famously. So it kind of has a little bit more of like a funk beat to it. I said to do something differently. Why don't we make it super country? And this is where I can draw on the strength of people in the band. Nate Smith is from Virginia, and Brad Allen Williams is from Memphis. So they really have that country blues thing. So you can feel that in there. It's authentic. You notice Nate is playing with no sticks right now. He's just playing with his hands, because there's an arc of this song. since it's so laid back, we knew we had to sort of make a slow build and really take it somewhere else.
You know that where Moses
This is also a great tempo because there's a lot of space. So again, making a reference to acting, you can tell a story. You know, you're talking about this woman who helped raise a community. You're talking about her hands literally lifting the face of a young woman, soothing her. You know, what do these hands mean to not only to the speaker or to Bill Withers or to me singing the song, but to this whole community. And it takes a lot of confidence to play at this tempo because there's nowhere to hide, there's nowhere to go, you know what I mean? But right here, Ben Williams on bass. And I remember telling Brad Allen Williams, who's soloing right now, just play the blues, man. This is not, we're not doing bebop right now. Just dig into your Memphis roots. And this is about sitting on the back porch, rocking back and forth, you know, with an iced tea, you know, watching the sun go down. And that was the feeling I wanted them to have. At this point in the performance, I can tell we're all listening really deeply. We're just letting it unfold. And now I'm letting Brad talk. I can see I'm playing with my eyes closed. Half the band, Takeshi had his eyes closed. We're all just listening and kind of feeling it. Takeshi Obayashi on the keys. And I can tell you from experience, I know Nate is watching my body too. A lot of musicians, when they're working with a singer, they watch your body for clues on, you know, how you're feeling the beat or when you want to accent something. Now there's a space, and I just nodded to Takeshi to play. And I'm just letting him do it, letting him take it. I took off my guitar, and now it's a whole nother band. Now it's Takeshi's band, now it's his trio. I gotta shout him out too. Takeshi is from Hiroshima. He's an incredible musician and really is the power of music globally. You know, when he first moved to Boston to go to Berkeley, he didn't speak much English. And he was noticed for his skill playing music. It's really the universal language. So, you know, you master this, you can go anywhere and you can work with anybody and, you know, present your music, hopefully someday right here at Newport.
You know that grandma.
So you can see in the video, he looked at me like, I'm finished now, you ready? And he passed it off. So it's about this energy, keeping the song going, making sure I'm comfortable. Sometimes I'll say, keep going. And then he has to build it and take another solo.
Boy, that really came in handy, she say. Matty, don't you whip that boy. What you want to spank him for?
So there's a whole connection, like I mentioned, with this song being sampled by Blackstreet, right? The Bill Withers version. So we kind of wanted to reference the hip-hop generation that we all came up in, and we start getting into like a hip-hop thing at the end, which you can hear now. I turned around to Nate, and we started to have this interaction. So I'm mixing it like it's a record. I'm mixing myself live vocally. And now this is the musicians who have to keep up with me, and they have to be open to this moment. So everybody just dropped out. So it's just drums and vocals. And I noticed the engineer added reverb to my vocal. Thank you. So this is what I'm talking about like being yourself and your vision. Like, people call me the jazz singer for the hip hop generation. And all of the famous jazz singers have embodied an instrument. Frank Sinatra studied the trombone. Louis Armstrong obviously sang the way he played trumpet. John Hendricks sang and scattered like a tenor saxophone. The instrument of my generation was turntable. So I feel like my contribution as a jazz singer is to try to bring some of that hip hop and rap vibe into jazz.
Look for grandma's hand.
And I don't know if you saw, but I cued the band, like we're going to the top of the song. That's my cue always for, this is the top. They all knew to come back in together.
Yes, Newport!
And that is how we did it here at Newport. Thank you guys so much for being with me here today. I hope you learned something about band leading, and most importantly, about being true to yourself and your vision. And I'm here to tell you, we can't wait to hear what your vision is. So looking forward to that, and wishing everybody peace and love.